There are games that entertain us, games that challenge us, and then there are games that change us. Red Dead Redemption 2 belongs to that rarest category. A work so ambitious, so meticulously crafted, so emotionally devastating that it transcends the medium entirely. Understanding why requires us to examine every facet of what Rockstar created over 8 years of development. Released on October 26, 2018, Red Dead Redemption 2 arrived, with expectations that seemed impossible to meet. The original Red Dead Redemption was already considered one of the greatest games ever made. How do you follow perfection? Rockstar's answer was to create something even more ambitious, a prequel that would recontextualize everything we knew about John Marston's story, while introducing a new protagonist whose journey would become one of gaming's most profound character studies. The game begins in 1899, 12 years before the events of the first game. The Van der Linde gang is fleeing a botched robbery in Blackwater, a disaster that has left them hunted, desperate and fractured. They escape into the mountains during a blizzard, and it's here in the howling wind and blinding snow that we meet Arthur Morgan, Dutch's most trusted enforcer, a man who has spent his entire adult life as an outlaw, and the character through whose eyes we'll experience the death of the Old West. The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 is the most detailed open world ever created in a video game. The attention to detail is staggering, obsessive, almost pathological. Every building can be entered, every drawer can be opened, every item has weight and texture and history. The world feels lived in because it is lived in, populated by thousands of NPCs who follow their own schedules, have their own conversations, react to the player's presence in contextually appropriate ways. The map spans 5 distinct regions, each with its own ecosystem, architecture and culture. The snowy mountains of Ambrino give way to the forests of New Hanover, which transition into the swamps of Lemoyne, which border the plains of New Austin. Each region has its own wildlife, its own weather patterns, its own sense of place. The swamps feel humid and oppressive, the mountains feel cold and isolated, the plains feel vast and empty. St. Denis is a revelation, a bustling metropolis modelled on New Orleans, complete with trolleys, theatres and a diverse population that reflects the city's unique history. Walking through St. Denis feels genuinely different from riding through the wilderness. The sounds change, the clatter of trolleys, the chatter of crowds, the music spilling from saloons. The pace changes, the dangers change. You're not worried about wolves in St. Denis. You're worried about the law, about pickpockets, about the 1,000 ways that civilization can crush a man like Arthur Morgan. At night, gas lamps cast pools of light on cobblestone streets. The city feels alive in ways that video game cities rarely achieve. Valentine is a muddy cattle town where cowboys drink and fight and die. The streets are unpaved, churned to mud by horses and cattle. The saloon is always busy, the hotel always full. Valentine feels like a town on the edge of something, prosperity or collapse depending on the day. Rhodes is a southern town caught between 2 feuding families, the Braithwaites and the Greys. The tension is palpable, the politeness masking generations of hatred. Strawberry is a logging community in the mountains, its economy built on timber and tourism. Ansburg is a mining town where workers toil in dangerous conditions for meagre pay, the company store ensuring they never escape debt. Each town has its own economy, its own social structure, its own stories to discover. The weather system affects gameplay in meaningful ways. Rain muds roads, slowing travel and affecting horse handling. Snow accumulates and creates treacherous conditions. Fog reduces visibility, creating tension and atmosphere. Thunderstorms are spectacular. Lightning illuminates the landscape. Thunder rolls across valleys. Rain pounds down in sheets. The temperature system requires attention to clothing. Wearing warm clothes in hot weather causes Arthur to overheat, while light clothes in cold weather causes him to freeze. The weather isn't just visual, it changes how you play. The day-night cycle affects NPC behaviour and available activities. Shops close at night. Certain strangers only appear at specific times. Predators become more active after dark. The cycle creates rhythm and structure, encouraging players to plan their activities around the time of day. Watching a sunrise after a long night of travel feels like an accomplishment. The sunrises and sunsets are breathtaking, the sky painted in oranges and purples, the light catching dust motes in the air. The technical achievement is extraordinary. The lighting system simulates realistic day-night cycles, with sunrises and sunsets that paint the sky in breathtaking colours. The attention to environmental detail is obsessive, with individual blades of grass, realistic water physics, and wildlife that behaves according to actual animal behaviour patterns. The animation system is perhaps the most impressive achievement. Every action Arthur performs is fully animated, from mounting his horse to opening a drawer to skinning an animal. The animations are motion captured and hand refined, creating movement that feels natural and weighty. Arthur's body responds to terrain, stumbling on uneven ground, bracing against wind, shivering in cold. The ecosystem is the most sophisticated ever implemented in a game. Over 200 species inhabit the world, each with accurate behaviours, habitats, and interactions. Predators hunt prey. Herbivores graze and flee from threats. Birds migrate with the seasons. The ecosystem creates a world that feels alive, independent of the player's presence. You might stumble upon a wolf pack taking down a deer, or watch an eagle snatch a fish from a river. These moments aren't scripted, they emerge from the simulation. Wolves hunt in packs, circling and attacking from multiple directions. Their howls echo through the night, creating tension even when they're not visible. Cougars are silent killers that can take Arthur down before he knows they're there. The first warning is often the death screen. Bears are terrifying, massive, fast, and capable of killing in seconds. The legendary bear encounter early in the game teaches players that these creatures are genuinely dangerous. Alligators lurk in swamps, nearly invisible until they strike. The predators make the wilderness dangerous in ways that human enemies cannot match. Hunting is a complete simulation of what hunting actually involves. You must track animals, study their behaviour, choose the right weapon, make a clean kill, and properly harvest the carcass. Poor shots damage pelts. Improper storage causes meat to spoil. The legendary animals provide ultimate challenges. Each has its own location, behaviour, and strategies for evasion. The legendary elk requires tracking through difficult terrain. The legendary panther is nearly invisible until it strikes. The trapper who crafts items from legendary pelts is a memorable character. A mountain man who lives outside civilization, trading in rare materials. His inventory includes clothing and equipment that can't be obtained any other way. The compendium tracks Arthur's encounters with the world's flora and fauna. Each animal has its own entry, updated as Arthur studies and hunts them. The compendium creates a sense of scientific discovery, of cataloguing the natural world. It also provides practical information: where to find specific animals, what weapons to use, what products they yield. The compendium transforms hunting from a simple activity into a form of naturalism. Fishing provides a peaceful counterpoint to the game's violence. Arthur can fish in rivers, lakes, and streams throughout the world, catching dozens of species with different behaviours and habitats. The legendary fish require specific conditions and techniques. The fishing mechanics are simple but satisfying: casting, waiting, fighting the fish, reeling it in. Some of the game's most peaceful moments come from sitting by a river, watching the water flow, waiting for a bite. The environmental storytelling rewards careful observation. Abandoned homesteads tell stories of failure and tragedy. Graves mark lives ended too soon. Notes and letters reveal personal dramas that the main narrative never addresses. A cabin might contain evidence of a murder. A campsite might show signs of a hasty departure. The world is dense with these details, each one adding to the sense of a lived-in place with history extending beyond the player's experience. The NPC dialogue system generates contextually appropriate responses to player behaviour. Greet someone while covered in mud and they'll comment on your appearance. Return to a shopkeeper you've robbed and they'll remember. Help someone on the road and they might help you later. The system creates a sense of consequence and continuity that makes the world feel responsive. NPCs aren't just obstacles or quest givers, they're inhabitants of a world that exists whether Arthur is watching or not. The stranger missions scattered throughout the world provide some of the game's finest storytelling. The serial killer questline is a multi-part investigation that leads Arthur through a series of gruesome crime scenes. The veteran stranger mission follows a former soldier struggling with what we would now call PTSD. The mission is sensitive and thoughtful, depicting the psychological costs of violence without exploitation. The widow stranger missions follow Charlotte Balfour, a woman whose husband has died and left her alone in the wilderness. Arthur teaches her to hunt, to survive, to find strength she didn't know she had. If you return to Charlotte in the epilogue as John, you learn that she survived. It's a small redemption, but it matters. The Hamish Sinclair stranger missions provide a different kind of relationship. A friendship between two men who understand each other. Hamish is a veteran who lost his leg in the war and now lives alone in the mountains. He and Arthur hunt together, fish together, share stories. The missions are quiet and contemplative, a respite from the violence of the main story. Hamish's death, if Arthur completes all his missions, is one of the game's most affecting moments. A good man dying peacefully, leaving his horse to Arthur as a final gift. The time traveller stranger mission plays with the game's historical setting, introducing a character who claims to be from the future. His predictions about automobiles, airplanes, and world wars are accurate, adding an eerie dimension to the comedy. The ghost encounters scattered throughout the world add supernatural elements that expand the game's mythology. The ghost train appears at specific times and places. The ghost of Agnes Dowd haunts the swamps of Blue Water Marsh. These encounters don't explain themselves, they simply exist. Reminders that the frontier holds mysteries beyond human understanding. The random encounters that occur while travelling create a sense of unpredictability and life. A man might be trapped under his horse, begging for help. A woman might be stranded, her wagon broken down. Outlaws might set an ambush on a lonely road. These encounters happen organically, making every journey potentially eventful. The gameplay systems are designed to create immersion rather than convenience. Everything takes time. Skinning an animal requires watching Arthur perform the action. Looting a body means bending down and searching through pockets. Cooking food involves sitting by a fire and watching the meat sizzle. For those who surrender to the game's rhythm, something remarkable happens. The world becomes real in a way that faster-paced games never achieve. You stop rushing and start living. You start to notice things, the way light filters through trees, the sound of rain on a tin roof, the smell of coffee brewing at camp. The game transforms from something you play into somewhere you exist. The camp system is central to the game's emotional impact. The gang's camp moves several times throughout the story, each location reflecting their changing circumstances. Horseshoe Overlook is hopeful, a fresh start after the Blackwater disaster. The camp sits on a bluff overlooking a valley, the view suggesting possibility and freedom. Clemens Point is comfortable, the gang at something like peace. The lakeside location is beautiful, the mood relaxed. Shady Belle is cramped and tense, the walls closing in. The abandoned plantation house is haunted by its history, the gang increasingly trapped. Beaver Hollow is desperate, the gang reduced to hiding in a cave like animals. The progression from hope to despair is reflected in the camps themselves. Within each camp, life continues. Gang members have conversations that develop over time. Relationships form and fracture. Tensions simmer. You can contribute money and supplies to improve conditions, unlocking better provisions and equipment. You can play poker or dominoes with your friends. You can request songs from Javier. He'll play guitar and sing, the music drifting through the camp. You can sit by the fire and listen to stories about the old days, about jobs gone wrong and friends lost. The party sequences after successful jobs are highlights, moments of genuine happiness that make the tragedy to come more devastating. The party after Sean's rescue is particularly memorable, the gang at their most united and hopeful. The camp upgrade system allows investment in the gang's welfare. Upgrading the provisions improves the food available. You can see the difference in what Pearson serves. Upgrading the ammunition provides better weapons. Upgrading Dutch's tent, Arthur's tent, and the medical supplies improves various aspects of camp life. The donation box tracks contributions from all gang members. Arthur can see who's contributing and who's freeloading. The system creates social dynamics within the gang, resentment toward those who don't pull their weight. The camp becomes a reflection of Arthur's investment in the gang's well-being. The horse system creates bonds that transcend mechanics. There are 19 breeds of horses in the game, each with distinct characteristics. The Arabian is fast but skittish. It will throw you at the first sign of danger. The Shire is slow but powerful. It can carry heavy loads without complaint. The Missouri Foxtrotter balances speed and stamina. The Turkoman excels in combat situations, remaining calm under fire. The gang members' horses tell stories about who they are. Dutch's White Arabian reflects his vanity and pretension. Hosea's Silver Turkoman suggests his experience and wisdom. Charles's Appaloosa connects to his Native American heritage. The bonding system transforms horses from vehicles into companions. Level 1 bonding provides basic responsiveness. Level 2 unlocks rearing and additional commands. Level 3 improves stamina and health. Level 4 creates a horse that will follow you anywhere, that responds to whistles from greater distances, that trusts you completely. The progression feels natural. You're not unlocking abilities, you're building a relationship. Arthur speaks to his horse, praises it, comforts it when it's scared. The horse becomes a confidant, the one creature Arthur can be honest with. In a game about a man who struggles to express emotion, the horse provides an outlet for tenderness that Arthur can't show to other humans. Losing a bonded horse is genuinely painful. The game doesn't respawn horses, and players report genuine grief when their horses die. The game even provides a moment to say goodbye. Arthur can comfort a dying horse, acknowledging the bond before it ends. The stables throughout the world offer opportunities to acquire new horses, and the process of choosing, customizing and naming creates investment that makes the eventual loss more painful. The clothing system allows for extensive customization that affects both appearance and gameplay. Winter clothing is necessary in cold regions. Lighter clothing prevents overheating in warm areas. But beyond functionality, clothing allows players to define Arthur's identity. The barbershops allow Arthur to change his hairstyle and facial hair. Hair and beard grow over time, creating a sense of the passage of days. The bathing system provides moments of quiet reflection, humanizing Arthur in small but significant ways. The crafting system extends beyond the trapper to include ammunition and consumables. Arthur can craft split-point ammunition for improved accuracy. He can create potent tonics from gathered herbs. He can cook meat in various ways, each providing different benefits. The satchel upgrades provide tangible benefits. The legend of the East Satchel allows Arthur to carry virtually unlimited supplies. The combat is weighty and impactful. Guns feel powerful, their reports echoing across valleys and startling wildlife. The Deadeye system returns from the first game, allowing players to slow time and mark targets for rapid shooting. But combat is also dangerous. Arthur can die quickly if he's careless, and the game's health system, which requires eating, sleeping and maintaining cores, means that neglecting self-care has real consequences. The combat isn't designed to make you feel like an unstoppable action hero. It's designed to make you feel like a mortal man in a dangerous world. The honor system tracks Arthur's moral choices through hundreds of smaller decisions, rather than dramatic binary choices. You can greet or antagonize every NPC you meet. You can help strangers or rob them. Honor affects how NPCs react to Arthur, what discounts he receives at stores, and certain story outcomes. But the game doesn't judge you for low honor. Some of the most interesting playthroughs involve embracing Arthur's darker nature, exploring what it means to be an outlaw without redemption. The character emerges from behavior, not from selecting dialogue options. The wanted system creates meaningful consequences for criminal behavior. Commit a crime and witnesses will report you. Kill the witnesses and more will come. The law responds with escalating force, first local sheriffs, then state lawmen, then federal marshals. Bounties accumulate and persist, making certain regions dangerous to enter. Masks can prevent identification. Changing horses and clothes can throw off pursuit. The wanted posters that appear throughout the world create a sense of Arthur's notoriety. His face stares back from walls and posts, a reminder that his crimes have consequences. The robberies offer high-risk, high-reward gameplay that captures the outlaw fantasy. Stagecoach robberies require planning, scouting routes, choosing ambush points, managing witnesses. Train robberies are elaborate affairs, requiring Arthur to board moving trains, neutralize guards, and crack safes while the law closes in. Home robberies present moral complications. The people Arthur robs are often sympathetic. their possessions representing lifetimes of work. The game doesn't prevent you from robbing them, but it makes you feel the weight of the choice. The mission design showcases Rockstar's mastery of interactive storytelling. Each mission is crafted as a complete experience, with its own arc, tone, and memorable moments. The train robberies are tense and cinematic, requiring coordination and quick thinking. The bank heists are elaborate set pieces that inevitably go wrong in spectacular fashion. The quieter missions, fishing with Jack, riding with Mary, hunting with Hosea, provide emotional depth that the action sequences alone could not achieve. The mission A Quiet Time stands as one of gaming's most memorable sequences. Arthur and Lenny go drinking in Valentine, and what follows is a hilarious, increasingly surreal night of drunken misadventure. The mission plays with the game's mechanics. Arthur's vision blurs, controls become unresponsive, and at one point every NPC in the bar appears to be Lenny. The mission is pure joy, a moment of genuine fun in a game that's often melancholy. It also deepens the relationship between Arthur and Lenny, making Lenny's later death hit harder. The journal that Arthur keeps provides insight into his inner life that dialogue alone cannot convey. Arthur sketches the world around him: animals, landscapes, people, buildings. His drawings are rough but evocative, capturing the essence of what he sees. The journal evolves throughout the game, reflecting Arthur's changing perspective. Early entries are cynical and detached. Later entries become more reflective, more honest, more vulnerable. Arthur writes about his doubts, his fears, his hopes. He reflects on his relationship with Dutch, his growing unease about the gang's direction. He thinks about Mary, the woman he loved and lost. The journal is a window into Arthur's soul, revealing depths that his gruff exterior conceals. The collectibles scattered throughout the world provide structure for exploration without feeling like busy work. The cigarette cards depict famous figures and events of the era. The dinosaur bones hint at the world's prehistoric past. The rock carvings suggest ancient mysteries predating European settlement. The dream catchers connect to Native American culture and spirituality. The treasure maps lead to hidden caches of gold and valuables. Following them requires interpreting hand-drawn clues, identifying landmarks, and exploring remote locations. The challenges that span various activities: hunting, gambling, weapons, survival, herbalism, provide long-term goals that structure extended play. The sharpshooter challenges demand precision. The gambler challenges require patience and luck. The master hunter challenges test your knowledge of the ecosystem. The bounty hunting system allows Arthur to pursue wanted criminals for cash rewards. Each target has their own location and circumstances, requiring different approaches. The poker, blackjack, dominoes, and five-finger fillet minigames provide social activities that develop character and atmosphere. Playing poker with gang members reveals their personalities through their playing styles and table talk. Hosea is cautious and calculating. Uncle bluffs constantly. The gambling isn't just a way to make money. It's a way to spend time with characters you care about, to inhabit the world more fully. The theatre shows in St. Denis provide entertainment that reflects the era's popular culture. Vaudeville acts, magic shows, and musical performances can be watched from the audience. These shows are fully realised, with complete performances that reward attention. They're also a window into the culture of 1899, showing what people found entertaining before movies and television dominated popular culture. Arthur Morgan is not John Marston. Where John was trying to escape his past, Arthur is still living it. Where John had a family to fight for, Arthur has only the gang, the only family he's ever known. Arthur is older, more cynical, more resigned to his fate. He doesn't believe in redemption because he doesn't believe he deserves it. He's done terrible things and he knows it. The game doesn't shy away from this. Arthur Morgan is a killer, a thief, a man who has caused immeasurable suffering. And yet, over the course of 60 hours, we come to love him. We come to understand him. We come to hope for him, even when he can't hope for himself. Roger Clark's performance as Arthur Morgan stands as one of gaming's greatest achievements. Clark brings depth and nuance to every line, conveying Arthur's weariness, his humour, his capacity for both violence and tenderness. The performance captures a man at war with himself, someone who knows he's done wrong but doesn't know how to be different. Clark's Arthur is gruff but not cold, violent but not cruel, cynical but not hopeless. The performance makes Arthur's eventual redemption feel earned rather than imposed. Dutch van der Linde is the heart of this tragedy. In the first game, we met Dutch as a broken man, a shadow of his former self. Here, we see him at the height of his powers, charismatic, intelligent, genuinely beloved by his followers. Dutch believes in something. He believes in freedom, in loyalty, in a world where men can live outside the constraints of civilization. His philosophy is seductive because it contains truth. The government is corrupt. The rich do exploit the poor. There is nothing noble about refusing to submit. But Dutch's idealism is also his fatal flaw. He cannot adapt. He cannot compromise. And as the world closes in around him, his idealism curdles into paranoia, his leadership into tyranny. Benjamin Byron Davis's performance as Dutch charts the character's descent from charismatic leader to paranoid tyrant. The transformation is gradual, a slight edge in the voice here, a flash of anger there. By the end, Dutch is unrecognisable from the man we met in Chapter 1. Davis makes us understand how the gang could have followed this man, and why they eventually couldn't. The genius of the game structure is that we watch this transformation happen gradually, almost imperceptibly. Dutch doesn't become a villain overnight. He makes one bad decision, then another, then another. Each time he has a justification. Each time he believes he's doing what's necessary. Arthur watches all of this with growing unease. He's been with Dutch for 20 years. He owes Dutch everything, his life, his identity, his sense of purpose. But Arthur is also smart enough to see what's happening. Arthur's loyalty to Dutch is the central conflict of the game, and it's a conflict without easy resolution. How do you abandon the only family you've ever known? The van der Linde gang numbers over 20 members, and each one feels like a fully realised human being. Hosea Matthews is Dutch's oldest friend, the voice of reason who sees the disaster coming but can't bring himself to leave. His death in the St. Denis bank robbery is devastating. The gang loses its conscience, and Dutch loses the one person who could have pulled him back from the edge. Lenny Summers is young and idealistic, a black man in 1899. America who joined the gang because it was the only place that would accept him. His death, moments after Hosea's, is shocking in its suddenness. A reminder that the frontier doesn't care about potential or promise. Sadie Adler is a widow consumed by rage, her grief transformed into a capacity for violence that disturbs even the hardened outlaws around her. Her transformation from traumatized victim to formidable warrior is one of the game's most compelling arcs. By the epilogue, Sadie has become a bounty hunter, channeling her violence into something resembling purpose. Alex McKenna's performance captures both Sadie's fury and her pain. Charles Smith is half black, half Native American, a man without a home who has found something like family among the gang. Charles is quiet and competent, the person you want beside you when things go wrong. His friendship with Arthur is one of the game's most genuine relationships. Two men who understand each other without needing to say much. Nosher Dalal's understated performance makes Charles one of the game's most memorable characters. Uncle is comic relief with hidden depths, a lazy drunk who claims to have lumbago, but whose stories about his past suggest a more complicated history. His relationship with John in the epilogue reveals genuine affection beneath the bickering. Pearson is the camp cook, a former Navy man who found his way to the gang. His interactions reveal a man who knows he's not cut out for outlaw life, but has nowhere else to go. Reverend Swanson is a morphine addict struggling with his demons, a man of faith who has lost his way. His arc shows that redemption is possible. As we learn in the epilogue, he's become a successful minister in New York. Swanson's recovery provides hope in a game that often denies it. Karen Jones is a con artist and heavy drinker whose relationship with Sean provides some of the game's lighter moments. After Sean's death, Karen spirals into alcoholism, her fate in the epilogue left deliberately ambiguous. Mary Beth Gaskill is a romantic who reads dime novels and dreams of becoming a writer. The epilogue reveals she achieved her dream, publishing novels under a pen name. Her gentleness provides contrast to the violence around her. Tilly Jackson's arc shows that the past doesn't have to define the future. She escapes the outlaw life and marries well. Like Swanson and Mary Beth, Tilly represents the possibility of escape, making the fates of those who couldn't escape more tragic. Micah Bell deserves special mention as one of gaming's most effective villains. Micah is everything Arthur isn't: cruel, selfish, manipulative. He joined the gang recently, but he's already wormed his way into Dutch's confidence. Micah whispers poison in Dutch's ear, encouraging his worst impulses, isolating him from the people who truly care about him. The game makes us hate Micah with a passion that few fictional characters inspire. Every scene with him is uncomfortable. Every word he speaks drips with malice. Peter Blomquist's performance makes Micah genuinely repulsive, a rare achievement in voice acting. John Marston is present throughout the game, and his portrayal adds layers of meaning for anyone who played the original. We see John as a younger man, more reckless, less mature. We see his relationship with Abigail develop, his bond with his son Jack strengthen. We understand, finally, why John was so desperate to leave the outlaw life behind, because he watched it destroy everyone he loved. Rob Weethoff returns to the role he originated, bringing the same weary determination that made John memorable in the first game. The Mary Linton storyline provides Arthur's most emotionally complex relationship. Mary is the woman Arthur loved and lost, the life he might have had if he'd made different choices. Their reunion missions are bittersweet. Two people who still care for each other but can't bridge the gap between their worlds. Their final conversation, where Mary asks Arthur to run away with her and he refuses, is devastating. Arthur knows he's dying. He knows he can't give Mary the life she deserves. He lets her go because he loves her. The relationship with Mary illuminates Arthur's tragedy. He's not incapable of love or connection. He's a man who made choices that closed off certain possibilities, and now he has to live and die with those choices. The Kieran Duffy arc is one of the game's most tragic. Kieran is an O'Driscoll who defects to the van der Linde gang, never fully trusted, always on the margins. He's gentle and eager to please, desperate for acceptance. His death, decapitated by the O'Driscolls, his body sent back to camp as a message, is shocking and brutal. Kieran never got the acceptance he craved. He died for a gang that never fully embraced him. His fate is a reminder of the violence that underlies the gang's existence. The robber barons who appear, Leviticus Cornwall, Angelo Bronte, are portrayed as predators whose wealth is built on exploitation. The government that hunts the gang is shown to be in league with these interests, protecting the powerful while crushing the powerless. The Pinkertons who hunt the gang are agents of a corrupt system, but they're also trying to stop genuine criminals. The game refuses easy moral judgments, instead presenting a world of competing interests and compromised choices. The story builds through 6 chapters, each escalating the tension as the gang's situation grows more desperate. Chapter 1 serves as an extended tutorial. The gang trapped in the mountains during a blizzard, desperate and starving. The cold is oppressive, the mood grim. But there's also hope. The gang has survived worse, and Dutch has a plan. There's always a plan. Chapter 2 at Horseshoe. Overlook is the game's honeymoon period. The gang has found a safe haven. The weather is pleasant. Jobs go well. The camp is alive with conversation and music. This is the van der Linde gang at its best. A family of misfits who genuinely care for each other. The chapter establishes what will be lost, making the eventual dissolution more devastating. The Braithwaite and Grey feud in Chapter 3 shows the gang exploiting Southern hatred for profit, only to have it blow up in their faces when Jack is kidnapped. The mission, Blood Feuds, Ancient and Modern, is the game's most devastating action sequence. Sean's sudden death and a desperate assault on Braithwaite Manor to rescue Jack. The mission is relentless, wave after wave of enemies, the gang fighting for survival. Sean's death is shocking, mid-sentence, without warning, a bullet through the head. The game doesn't give you time to process, neither does Arthur. The St. Denis chapters introduce Angelo Bronte and the complexities of urban crime. The city is different from anything the gang has encountered, crowded, sophisticated, dangerous in new ways. Dutch is out of his element, and his decisions become increasingly erratic. The trolley station robbery is a disaster. The bank robbery is worse. Friends die. Hosea and Lenny in the bank robbery, their deaths sudden and brutal. The gang barely escapes, fleeing to Guarma. The brief Guarma chapter strips away everything familiar, stranding the gang on a Caribbean island and showing Dutch at his most desperate. The chapter is controversial. Some players find it a jarring interruption, others appreciate the change of scenery. But it serves a narrative purpose. Guarma shows Dutch without his support system, without his rhetoric, without his plans. What remains is a man willing to do anything to survive. The seeds of his final betrayal are planted here. Then comes the diagnosis. Arthur learns he has tuberculosis, a death sentence in 1899. The revelation comes roughly 2/3 through the game, and everything that follows is coloured by this knowledge. Arthur is dying. Nothing can change that. The only question is what he'll do with the time he has left. This is where the game's themes crystallise. Arthur has spent his life following Dutch, believing in Dutch's vision, doing terrible things in service of that vision. Now facing death, he's forced to reckon with who he's been and who he wants to be. The ride back to camp after the diagnosis is one of gaming's most powerful sequences. Arthur rides alone through the countryside as "That's the Way It Is" plays. The song's lyrics, about accepting what cannot be changed, mirror Arthur's internal state. The sequence is long, giving players time to process the revelation. The world looks different now. Every sunset might be Arthur's last. The final chapters are emotionally grueling. The gang falls apart as Dutch's paranoia intensifies. Betrayals are revealed. Arthur grows weaker, his coughing fits more frequent, his face more gaunt. The game forces you to watch a man you've come to love slowly waste away, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The helplessness is intentional. This is what mortality feels like. The knowledge that time is running out, that every moment is precious, that the end is coming whether you're ready or not. The Wapiti storyline addresses historical injustice with unusual directness. Chief Rain's Fall is one of the game's most dignified characters, a leader who has seen his people decimated and his culture destroyed. His conversations with Arthur explore themes of loss, resistance, and acceptance. Rain's Fall has chosen peace, believing that violence will only bring more suffering. His son Eagle Flies has chosen resistance, believing that peace means surrender. The tension between them reflects real debates within Native American communities during this period. The mission My Last Boy follows Arthur and Eagle Flies in a doomed assault on an army oil facility. The mission is tragic from the start. We know this can't end well. Eagle Flies' death and Arthur's helplessness to prevent it crystallizes the game's themes of futility and loss. The mission asks what resistance means when resistance is hopeless, what honor means when honor leads to death. Arthur carries Eagle Fly's body back to Rain's Fall. There are no words adequate to the moment. The game doesn't offer easy redemption. Arthur can't undo the harm he's caused. He can't bring back the people he's killed. But he can choose how to spend his remaining days. He can help John escape. He can protect the innocent. He can die with some measure of grace. The final mission sees Arthur helping John flee while confronting Micah and Dutch. The outcome depends on your honor level. High honor Arthur dies watching the sunrise, finally at peace. Low honor Arthur dies alone, killed by Micah. Either way, Arthur Morgan dies. The protagonist you've spent 60 hours with is gone. The high honor ending is devastating in its beauty. Arthur, beaten and broken, crawls to a cliff edge as the sun rises. He watches the light spread across the land he's ridden across, fought across, loved. The deer that has appeared throughout his journey appears one final time, a symbol of the grace Arthur has found. Arthur closes his eyes. The music swells. He's gone. The moment is earned because the game has spent 60 hours earning it. The low honor ending is darker. Arthur dies alone, killed by Micah, the deer replaced by a coyote. Both endings are powerful, but the high honor ending has become iconic, a moment players return to again and again. The epilogue follows John Marston as he tries to build a new life. These chapters are tonally different, lighter, more hopeful, focused on construction rather than destruction. John works on a ranch, learning the rhythms of honest labour. He saves money, slowly accumulating enough to buy land. The work is mundane but meaningful, herding cattle, breaking horses, fixing fences. The contrast with the main game's violence makes the piece feel precious. John buys land and builds a house with his own hands, board by board, nail by nail, an interactive sequence accompanied by the house-building theme that has become beloved by players. The song is jaunty and optimistic, a stark contrast to the melancholy that has dominated the game. The act of creation after so much loss, the hope embodied in building a home, is surprisingly emotional. Players who have spent 60 hours watching things fall apart finally get to watch something come together. John marries Abigail in a simple ceremony. He tries to be a father to Jack, teaching him to ride and shoot. The family dynamics feel authentic. The arguments, the reconciliations, the unspoken love beneath the friction. Uncle moves in, providing comic relief and genuine affection. Charles and Sadie visit, connecting the epilogue to the main story. The ranch becomes a home, a place of peace and possibility. The ranch work that follows provides a different kind of gameplay. John herds cattle, breaks horses, and manages the property. The work is mundane in the best sense, ordinary tasks that ground the narrative in everyday reality. The seasonal changes show the passage of time. John experiences all 4 seasons while building his life, and each season brings different challenges and opportunities. John has what Arthur never could, a chance at a normal life. But the epilogue is haunted by dramatic irony. Anyone who played the first game knows what's coming. The house John builds will become the site of his death. The peace he finds won't last. The government will come for him, and he'll die defending the family he's worked so hard to protect. The epilogue's hopefulness is undercut by this knowledge, creating a bittersweet tone that lingers. Every moment of happiness is shadowed by the tragedy to come. The final mission provides closure for Arthur's story. John, Charles, and Sadie track Micah to a mountain hideout. The assault is difficult. Micah has gathered a gang of his own, and the mountain terrain favours defenders. The final duel with Micah is satisfying in a way that few video game confrontations achieve. Micah's death avenges Arthur, recovers Dutch's money, and closes the chapter on the gang's dissolution. Dutch appears briefly, allowing Micah to die, then disappears into the mountains broken and alone. The scene doesn't provide the satisfaction of Dutch's death. That comes in the first game, but it shows how far he's fallen. The man who once inspired such loyalty now inspires only pity. Dutch walks away into the snow, a ghost of the man he was. The themes of Red Dead Redemption 2 resonate far beyond its Western setting. The game is about the death of a way of life, about people who refuse to accept that the world has changed. Dutch's gang represents something real, the human desire for freedom, for community, for a meaning outside the structures of civilization. Their tragedy is that this desire is incompatible with the world they live in. The frontier is closing. The government is expanding. There is no place left for men like Dutch van der Linde. The gang's destruction is tragic not because its members were good people, many of them weren't, but because something genuine was lost. A family, however dysfunctional, a community, however violent, a dream, however impossible. The game is about loyalty and its limits. Arthur's loyalty to Dutch is admirable in some ways. He's faithful, dependable, willing to sacrifice for his family. But loyalty can also be a trap. Arthur stays with Dutch long after he should have left, enabling Dutch's worst impulses, participating in atrocities he knows are wrong. The game asks when loyalty becomes complicity, when faithfulness becomes foolishness. It doesn't provide easy answers. Arthur's loyalty is both his greatest virtue and his fatal flaw. The game is about masculinity and its costs. Arthur is a product of his environment, raised to be tough, to suppress emotion, to solve problems with violence. The game shows the damage this causes both to Arthur and to those around him. Arthur's journey toward redemption is also a journey toward emotional honesty, toward vulnerability, toward the capacity to care openly about others. His final conversations with the people he loves are powerful precisely because they represent growth. A man learning, at the end of his life, how to be human. The game suggests that traditional masculinity, for all its strengths, comes at a terrible cost. The game is about America and its myths. The Western genre has always been about American identity, the frontier, the individual, the tension between civilization and freedom. Red Dead Redemption 2 engages with these myths critically, showing the violence and exploitation that the myths obscure. The game depicts the genocide of Native Americans through the Wapiti tribe. It shows the exploitation of immigrant labor in Annisburg. It reveals that the freedom of the frontier was always selective, always built on the suffering of others. The game loves the Western genre while acknowledging its lies. The game is set during a specific moment in American history, the twilight of the frontier era, and it captures this moment with obsessive accuracy. The year 1899 sits at a crossroads. Automobiles exist but haven't replaced horses. Electricity illuminates cities but hasn't reached the countryside. The old ways are dying, but the new ways haven't fully arrived. This transitional moment is essential to the game's themes. The Van der Linde gang isn't just fighting the law, they're fighting time itself, trying to preserve a way of life that history has already condemned. The attention to historical detail grounds the fiction in reality. The weapons are historically accurate, reflecting the armaments available in 1899. The Cattleman revolver, the Lancaster repeater, the pump-action shotgun. Each weapon has its own feel, its own strengths, its own place in the arsenal. The clothing options reflect the fashions of the era, from rugged frontier wear to the formal attire appropriate for Saint Denis society. The architecture throughout the game reflects regional and historical influences, the French Quarter aesthetics of Saint Denis, the rough-hewn buildings of Valentine, the plantation houses of Rhodes. The game's treatment of women deserves recognition. In a genre often criticized for marginalizing female characters, Red Dead Redemption 2 creates women who are complex, capable, and central to the narrative. Sadie Adler transforms from a grieving widow into one of the game's most formidable fighters. Abigail Roberts is fierce and practical, holding her family together through impossible circumstances. The game doesn't treat women as accessories or rewards, it treats them as people. The game's treatment of race is similarly thoughtful. Charles Smith and Lenny Summers are fully realized characters whose racial identities inform but don't define them. The game depicts the racism of 1899 America without endorsing it. The Lemoyne Raiders represent the ugliest aspects of American history, Confederate veterans who refuse to accept defeat, who terrorize black citizens. The game allows Arthur to kill them without moral complication, making clear where the narrative's sympathies lie. The connection to Red Dead Redemption enriches both games immeasurably. Characters who appeared briefly in the first game are fully realized in the prequel. Bill Williamson, a simple villain in the original, becomes a complex figure, a man struggling with his own demons, desperate for Dutch's approval, never quite fitting in despite his best efforts. Javier Escuella's loyalty and eventual betrayal gain new meaning. We see the man he was before circumstances forced impossible choices. The ending of Red Dead Redemption 2 leads directly into the beginning of the first game, and the two form a continuous narrative spanning over a decade. Playing the games in chronological order creates a different but equally powerful experience. You watch John grow from a reckless young man into a devoted father. You watch him build the life that Arthur died to give him. You see him struggle with the same demons that plagued Arthur. The pull of violence, the difficulty of change, the weight of the past. And then you watch it all taken away. The tragedy of the first game is amplified by everything you know from the second. John's death hits harder because you've seen what he sacrificed to build his family. The cycle of violence that claims him feels inevitable, a curse that no amount of redemption can break. The graves that can be visited in the epilogue provide closure for characters who died during the main story. Arthur's grave in particular is a pilgrimage site for players, a place to pay respects to a character they've come to love. The grave's inscription varies based on honour level, providing a final judgment on how Arthur lived his life. High honour Arthur's grave reads, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness." Low honour Arthur's grave reads, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Both inscriptions acknowledge Arthur's struggle, but they frame it differently, one as triumph, one as tragedy. The game's treatment of violence deserves examination. Red Dead Redemption 2 is violent, extremely violent. Arthur kills hundreds of people over the course of the game. The violence is not sanitized, it's brutal, bloody and consequential. Bodies don't disappear, blood pools on the ground. The game forces you to see what you've done. The Euphoria physics engine makes every death feel weighty. Enemies stumble, clutch wounds, cry out in pain. The violence is never comfortable, but the violence is also contextualized. The game asks you to consider what violence costs, not just to victims, but to perpetrators. Arthur's journey toward redemption is partly a reckoning with the violence he's committed. The game doesn't excuse the violence or pretend it's heroic. It presents violence as a fact of Arthur's life and asks what that fact means. The stranger missions often subvert expectations about violence. The veteran mission resolves without combat. The widow missions are about teaching survival, not killing. The game provides alternatives to violence when it can, making the violence that remains feel more significant. The game's approach to death is unusually thoughtful for the medium. When Arthur dies, the screen fades to black with a quote about mortality or the frontier. The quotes are drawn from literature, philosophy, and Western mythology, creating a sense of weight and meaning around death. The game doesn't treat death as a simple failure state. It treats it as a reminder of the stakes. The permadeath of horses creates genuine consequences for carelessness. A horse that dies is gone forever, along with any items stored in its saddlebags. The system encourages players to value their horses, to protect them, to avoid unnecessary risks. The emotional impact of losing a bonded horse is significant. Players report genuine grief, a testament to how effectively the game creates attachment. The game's length is both strength and weakness. A complete playthrough, including side content, can exceed 100 hours. This length allows for depth and development that shorter games cannot achieve. But it also demands commitment that many players cannot provide. For those who surrender to the game's rhythm, the length becomes a virtue. You live with these characters for weeks or months. You watch relationships develop over dozens of hours. You inhabit the world so thoroughly that leaving it feels like loss. The game rewards multiple playthroughs, a second playthrough, Knowing what's coming transforms the experience. Moments that seemed ordinary become poignant. Foreshadowing becomes visible. The tragedy deepens because you know it's coming and can't prevent it. The game is designed to be replayed, to reveal new layers with each experience. The first-person mode offers an alternative perspective that intensifies immersion. The world feels different when viewed through Arthur's eyes, more immediate, more dangerous, more real. The mode isn't just a camera change, it's a different way of experiencing the game. Combat becomes more visceral, exploration becomes more intimate. The cinematic camera provides yet another perspective, framing gameplay as if it were a film, choosing dramatic angles and tracking action smoothly. The photo mode, added after launch, provides tools for capturing the game's beauty. Filters, frames, and adjustments allow players to create images that rival professional photography. The mode encourages a different way of seeing, looking for compositions, waiting for perfect light, finding beauty in unexpected places. The photographs players create and share have become a form of fan art, extending the game's cultural impact. The audio design creates an immersive soundscape that rivals the visual presentation. The score, composed by Woody Jackson with contributions from numerous artists, blends traditional Western music with ambient soundscapes. The music responds dynamically to gameplay, swelling during action and fading during exploration. The score knows when to be present and when to disappear, creating emotional resonance without overwhelming the experience. The ambient sound design creates a world you can hear as vividly as you can see. The sounds of nature, birdsong, wind, water, wildlife, vary by location and time of day. The sounds of civilization, voices, machinery, music create distinct atmospheres for each town. Close your eyes and you can identify where you are just by listening. Arthur's footsteps change based on surface, wood, stone, mud, snow, grass. His breathing changes based on exertion and health. The horse's hoofbeats vary by gait and terrain. These details create subliminal immersion, a sense of physical presence that players feel without identifying. The licensed songs that play at key moments are perfectly chosen. That's the Way It Is by Daniel Lanois accompanies Arthur's ride back to camp after his diagnosis, its mournful lyrics reflecting his acceptance of mortality. The song's placement is masterful. A long, quiet ride through beautiful country, the lyrics speaking directly to Arthur's situation. Unshaken by D'Angelo plays during a pivotal late-game moment, its message of resilience providing hope in the darkness. Cruel World by Willie Nelson closes the game, its weary wisdom capturing the tone of the entire experience. The house-building theme accompanies John's construction of his home, its jaunty optimism providing catharsis after hours of tragedy. These songs become inseparable from the moments they accompany. Hearing them outside the game immediately evokes the emotions of those scenes. The voice acting is uniformly excellent. Beyond Clark and Davis, the supporting cast brings remarkable depth to their roles. Rob Weithoff returns as John Marston, bringing the same weary determination that made the character memorable in the first game. Alex McKenna's Sadie Adler captures both fury and pain. Noshir Dalal's understated Charles Smith is one of the game's most memorable characters. Callie Elizabeth Moore's Abigail Roberts is fierce and practical. The voice work transforms good writing into great drama. The impact of Red Dead Redemption 2 on the gaming industry has been profound. The game demonstrated that players would embrace slower, more deliberate experiences if crafted with sufficient care. It proved that video games could achieve emotional depth comparable to the best films and novels. It set new standards for open-world design, environmental storytelling, and character development. The game sold over 50 million copies, won numerous Game of the Year awards, and is consistently ranked among the greatest games ever made. The game also sparked important conversations about development practices. Reports emerged about the intense crunch that Rockstar employees endured, 100-hour weeks, years of sustained pressure. The human cost of creating such an ambitious project became part of the discourse. These conversations contributed to broader industry discussions about work-life balance and the sustainability of LAA development. The game's achievement is inseparable from the conditions of its creation, raising uncomfortable questions about what we're willing to accept in pursuit of artistic excellence. The community that formed around Red Dead Redemption 2 remains active years after release. Players share screenshots of stunning vistas, discuss theories about the game's mysteries, and introduce new players to the experience. The game has inspired fan art, fan fiction, and countless video essays analysing its themes and techniques. The academic study of the game has produced scholarly analysis of its treatment of American mythology, its commentary on capitalism and masculinity, its innovative approach to environmental storytelling. The game has been taught in university courses on game design, narrative theory, and American studies. The game's mysteries continue to generate discussion. The strange man who appears throughout the world, the UFO sightings, the ghost train, the vampire in St. Denis, the robot in a remote cabin. These elements expand the mythology while resisting easy explanation. They make the world feel larger than the narrative can contain, suggesting depths that even a 100-hour playthrough can't fully explore. Red Dead Online extends the world into multiplayer, allowing players to create their own characters and inhabit the frontier alongside others. The mode has its own progression systems, its own activities, its own stories. While distinct from the single-player experience, Red Dead Online extends the world's life and provides another avenue for players who want to spend more time in this meticulously crafted setting. The modding community on PC has created modifications that enhance and expand the game. Visual mods improve graphics beyond the already impressive baseline. Gameplay mods adjust systems to player preferences. Content mods add new missions, characters, and activities. The modding extends the game's life beyond official content, creating a community of creators who continue to find new possibilities in Rockstar's foundation. The game's influence extends beyond gaming into broader culture. The memes and references have entered popular consciousness. I have a plan has become shorthand for delusional optimism. Arthur's bow when addressing his horse has become iconic. The game's imagery, the lone rider against a sunset, the gang gathered around a campfire, has become visual shorthand for a certain kind of American mythology. The game has influenced how we think about the Western genre, about video game narrative, about what interactive entertainment can achieve. Red Dead Redemption 2 is not a perfect game. Its pacing will frustrate players who want constant action. Its systems can feel cumbersome, its controls occasionally awkward. The game demands more time and attention than many players can give. These are legitimate criticisms. The deliberate pacing that creates immersion for some players creates tedium for others. The animation system that makes the world feel real also makes simple actions take longer than they need to. The game asks a lot of its players, and not everyone will be willing to give it. But perfection isn't the standard for masterpiece. A masterpiece is a work that achieves greatness in its chosen domain, that pushes the boundaries of what's possible, that creates something that didn't exist before. Red Dead Redemption 2 creates a world so real that we mourn its passing. It creates characters so vivid that we grieve their deaths. It tells a story so powerful that it changes how we see the world. The game asks us to slow down in a medium that usually demands speed. It asks us to care about characters in a medium that often treats characters as obstacles or tools. It asks us to think about mortality, loyalty, and meaning in a medium that often avoids such questions. The game's willingness to make these demands and its success in rewarding those who meet them is what elevates it beyond entertainment into art. The game represents a particular moment in gaming history, a moment when technology, talent, and resources aligned to create something unprecedented. Whether such alignment will occur again remains uncertain. The level of detail, the scope of the world, the length of the development cycle, these things may not be sustainable. Red Dead Redemption 2 took 8 years and thousands of developers to create. The game stands as a monument to what's possible when ambition is matched by execution, when vision is supported by craft. Arthur Morgan's final words to his horse, "Thank you," capture something essential about the game. It's a moment of tenderness in a life defined by violence. It's an acknowledgement of connection in a world that punishes connection. It's a goodbye that feels earned because we've spent dozens of hours building that bond. The moment works because the game has done the work to make it work. In 2 words, Arthur expresses everything the game is about: gratitude, connection, the recognition that even in a life of violence, there was something worth loving. The frontier is gone, the outlaws are dead, the world has moved on, but in Red Dead Redemption 2 they live forever, preserved in code and memory, waiting for anyone who wants to ride those trails again.